No one's got a lighter handy, do they?
No, I left there's one on the table there though.
That's just going to burn the mosquitoes.
That's a good idea.
You probably put a hole in the tent.
No, you can actually use a cooker, bro.
What, in here, not burn the tent?
It'd be like, kill everything, like a full-on gas cooker. Yeah, it can.
I just can imagine you burning a hole through the top of this tent, rendering it useless. Ben, your tent's not gas fireproof.
Sorry, man.
Anto was flame throwing mosquitoes.
Put a skylight in your tent. It's about 6:30 and Anto and Dan spotted about 12 or 14 Sika, and they came up this little spur. They were in the open coming out of a bit of a gut, and I managed to get within about 20 metres of one in the bush, but it was quite dark and had a very, very narrow shooting lane through a bit of a game trail, and I wasn't ready. I wasn't drawn back, but the wind's kind of up my bum, but it's a cross breeze as I go up the spur, and I'm just hoping that they've gone down into the left, but I have a feeling they've gone into the right, which is north facing, which is all this manuka. So the stalk might not work, but I'll take the spur up and then I'll start to sidle to my left, because that's the direction the wind's coming from. It's coming from the south, and it'll take me back through some of that country I was in last night, which was, yeah, promising. Nice bit of a pad here. I'm at about 750 metres now, and it's not that far to get to kind of 800. 820 is the top, 850 is the top. But I think I feel like I want to sidle and get these. I mean, the winds are predominant southerly, so it's still coming up the face. I just want to work my way around until I get into some nice beach, because at the moment this pepperwood is a bit unpleasant. There's plenty of sign coming up here, especially on that little spur far out. Those deer are just going straight up the spur. There's a few marks coming down too, so they're probably using it both ways. I have a feeling they're beating down on that north facing slope, which is out of the wind too, but I can't hunt that direction because the wind's stuffing it. So I'm sort of forced to have to sidle into these southern facing guts. Just seen a spike. Seen a spike at like 12 metres. I can see its head. A little bit of its back, but there was so much bracken in the way.
I'll take that. Nice little find. It's been probably shot just off the slip. Maybe not found because there's no meat taken off that. Back legs are still there. Maybe the back steaks got taken. But yeah, I'd be very happy with that with the bow.
Damo and I have just got to this little knob and up the top of the spur and a bit of a saddle. We can hear a stag just mewing off and on, so I won't call until I get up there. It'll be exciting. I'm crawling on my hands and knees and on my belly, and this Sika stag just did a hee-haw. He must only be 30 metres away. It's just painstakingly slow and so thick. And there's another stag that hee-hawed on the other side as well. So I'm not making any noise. I just need to find a bloody open spot that I can actually set up.
I found a well-worn game trail that led up to the saddle and closed into about 50 metres before I let out my first call. The bush was super tight and the stag came in on the worst possible angle, offering no clear shot opportunity, and ended up spooking at less than 10 metres from me. The whole sequence had taken nearly an hour, mostly on hands and knees, and waiting on game trails hoping he may come straight on to me.
That's where the stag came through. Came through here. And I was just there. So that's probably a 8 metre shot. And then I just cut down here, which is actually a better angle. But when I got there and he came through, I drew and he jumped up into the stuff and then he crashed off up here. Pretty tight. There's another stag going up here and another one was hee-hawing over here, and the Damo's just done a shot down there. Oh, we'll have another go. This bush was pretty bloody difficult to do a set up in. Literally I'd be shooting them on a game trail as they're coming in on me. I'd be having to hit them in the Adam's apple. That's okay. If for anything coming over here, that's fine. Just on my way up, I get to a couple of nice little spots and I sit for 10, 15 minutes. Oh, bro, I just got a stag roaring. Up the hill. I might work out a plan of attack here. What's this wind doing? That way he's up there, so I'm going to cut this way along this game trail. Disappointing, I just heard it crash down below me. It must have come around below. All the scrub and the wind sinking down, so it's got my wind. Far out, what do? You just got to keep picking the next one. I've got to go back down and get my boots. And my bag. Then I'll punch up onto this clay spur and then I'll be in the open, which will be quite good to just walk.
As it turned out, the single calls coming from up the ridge were from another random Kiwi hunter called Jared, who also happened to live in Perth, Western Australia, and coincidentally moved over in the same month as I did back in 2007. We had never met before this day, and I'm glad he confirmed his target as we closed in on each other in that tight stuff. These high intensity situations can catch hunters off guard, and it's always best to assume every deer is a human until you confirm that it's actually a deer.
Good stuff.
Yeah, man. Scrapping too. Scrapping.
Just got up onto this ridge here and can spot Andre and Dave. They've just spotted a stag down under this gut, and it's about 80 metres below me apparently. Gives them a 2D view from over there. So I'm just gonna sit tight, eat some food, wait for the action, I guess. I've been hearing the odd hee-haw come from down in this gully, right down on the other side, which doesn't really interest me. And my preference is to get into this beach that's behind me and angle my way back down to camp, but that's right through where Andre's watching the stag, so he has dibs on that. Apparently it's about a 180, good stag. And then Anto's further along the range, and he's also watching a stag, or seen a stag or heard a stag, and waiting it out. And then behind me, bumped into 3 other hunters. I actually was calling at a stag and one of the hunters dropped down above me and started calling at me. Confused me actually, but anyway, that stag came in quite close before it got my wind. I had that happen twice this morning. Bit disappointing, but that's the way it is. Just got up on top and Andre and Dave are on the other side of this gut, on the top of that clay pan, and there's a hind that's just been moving up the face towards them. The big monster stag has just gone off down in here, so I'm going to try and wrap around to Andre so we can actually talk and then work out a plan. I reckon we'd be better off to sneak in after it while the wind's coming up in our face and just mew, put Andre ahead of me. I've just heard that stag hee-haw, and Andre said that it's directly below where I was, which I thought it was coming from the beach, so he would know because he saw it go and bed down in the softwoods. I've dropped down on the other side of the spur and heading towards them because it'd be pretty cool to be with Andre if it comes out. I'd love to be able to use my binoculars, be a set of eyes for him. So I'm just making my way across in that direction. there's a stag that hee-hawed just up in that saddle, and I came over the top of the track and heard it hee-haw while I was having breakfast. And then I heard a single call come from below it, which I thought sounded like Dan, and it turned out to be Dan because I was squeaking away on the hind caller. And then Anto told me to shut up. And then a helicopter flew over, and everything's gone quiet on that side, but down in here, I've just got one single call further down. Maybe I'll put in an effort on it. Let's just see what the wind's doing. Found a money spot here. There's all these rutt pads in this little tiny patch of pepperwood. But I can hear a single call coming from down here. So much activity. There's a stag calling on my true right, and there's another stag calling on the true left. This bush is amazing. I hope it stays like this. The stags come all the way down here. He's carried on dropping, and he's gone across, I think, on the other side of this gut and on the other side of a spur, so I can faintly hear him odd time now. Check out this for an old tree stand. Somebody's had some nerve to go all the way up. And there's the stand there. That stag has just started single calling up here, and he's 2 whole spurs over from where I dropped down on him. I'm running out of time because it's 1 o'clock and I've got so much shit bush to get through to get out. I really don't want to get caught with my pants down. But the stags, they won't keep themselves, will they? The stag single called again pretty aggressively. Just got one single calling out. Oh no, the one's not good. Fuck. It's just shifting. What is it doing?
The next 30 seconds happened really fast, and I very nearly failed to pull this off at all through an inability for me to draw back my bow. The previous day I took a fall climbing up from base camp with my 80 litre pack on while holding my bow in my right hand, and I broke the fall using my left arm on its own. It resulted in a minor fracture to my elbow spur, which rendered my left tricep strength completely useless. Initially I had no idea of the extent of the damage, but a follow-up scan once I was back in Perth a week later confirmed the elbow was fractured. At the time, I mentioned the elbow pain to Andre, who looked at me as if I was getting soft and told me to climb into my control room and get on with it. So that's exactly what I did. I soldiered on through many eye-watering moments, wincing and groaning every time I engaged my left arm in any sort of pushing motion. All I could think of was how on earth was I going to push my bow forward using my left arm while drawing back using my right arm. I guess time would tell, and that time was right now.
Shot him just there. Crashed off through this stuff. Far out, that was so intense. I've had a moment to like just settle down now, but after it happened, oh, far out, that was really, really intense. That stag was on the other side of this spur. I heard him single call from down below, a single call back, he replied. I then cut all the way up through this terrible manuka, or kanuka scrub, and got onto this little spur, let out a little low mew, and he single called again. So then I came over to the edge, and I could hear him coming towards me. I was just trying to find somewhere to be able to get a shot, and I had to be really aggressive. I could hear him trying to cut above me. I thought, he's just going to get my wind, I can't have that. So I sort of pushed towards him, and I saw him coming. I started to try and load the bow. My clip fell off my D-loop, so then I'd do it again, and then I just drew, and he was right in front of me. Then he cut around me because he wanted to get my wind, cut around me, and that's when I just let it go. So yeah, I've given him probably 10 minutes so far. I think I should give him a bit more. And camp is straight up here above me, so I hate to say it, but I'll probably just crash up through all this horrible stuff instead of dropping back down and trying to go up to the saddle where there's a track. That bush down the bottom is just as bad. It's just like this, it's horrible. You get some nice bits of bush on the southern facing slopes like pepperwood guts, and they're really nice. Yeah, well, I just hope I can find them, because the arrow looks like it's got liver, it hasn't gone through lungs. So, well, unless it's gone through the heart, I mean, it's really bloody. So let's go and have a look to see where he went, if there's any blood trail. Okay, we're on blood, so he's crashed off this way. Okay, that's looking a little bit bubbly, so maybe he's got lungs. Yep, must have lungs. Oh, that's good. He won't be far. I just have to be methodical with the blood tracking, because it's been really hard. If I'm honest, I've spent nearly an hour looping around. This is the first bit of blood since the shot. There was shot on the blood on the shot, and then it's gone quiet, and it's really hard to pick up on its marks because there's so much marks here. And where he's going, it's a bit unconventional, because he's going through some terribly thick stuff across slope and slightly up, which I would have thought he would go down, but I guess on the shot he was just charging off away from danger, and this is the direction he was heading to begin with, so he just carried on at a great rate of knots. Oh, I've just heard the drone above me too. I think the boys are flying it over where I sent the inReach message. That's the cool thing about the inReach, they know where I am now. Oh, far out, there's a lot of blood there. Look at that. I'm going to find him real soon. You can see he's been mulling about here, so that's part of the gut bag, so it's come through the front and out the back. Gosh, I'm going to find it soon. I hope I don't bump him. Where's he gone? Mark's going down. Oh! Yeah! Yeah! Oh, yes! Ha ha! Oh! Far out, that was intense. I didn't know if I was going to find him at first. Ah, oh, beauty. Look at that. Oh, it was a good shot. Far out. Copybook. It all happened so fast, I can't say that's where I was aiming. I don't even think I aimed. Oh, beauty. Oh, well. Thank you, mate. Thank you for that experience. Little 6-pointer. Oh, some people will say that's just never going to amount to an 8. So I've done the hillside a favour. I've done the genetics a favour. Far out, I tell you what, I was so hoping I'd hit it in a good spot. That happened so fast. Sheesh. Here's the beauty in all his glory. Whew. Came in on some mews, and then I single called at him when I thought he was going to cut round me, and I crashed straight in at him. And jeepers, it was a really, really close encounter. I can see the drone up there. Bring it over here, boys, and then I'll be able to wave to you. Over here, boys. Oh, well. Well, here I am with my little stag, a little Sika. Wow, what a story. What a story. Managed to pull it off. This was the objective. Absolutely, this was the objective. For me anyway, was to get a Sika with the bow. Well, I broke out onto the open stuff now, which is good. And I lost 2 arrows for that climb. They just got dislodged from my quiver and didn't find them. Kept happening. What a view. Whew. Just picking my angle up to camp. What a day. So, for record, I ended up that saddle over there with that nice mature beech. I dropped into that and angled on the true right down. So much sign, rut pads everywhere. It was beautiful, real open, perfect for bow hunting. And went all the way down to the bottom, into the river. Awful, that stuff is awful. I'd give it a half out of 10, like 0.5 out of 10. It's shit, terrible. Came down to about where my finger is at the bottom of the spur and heard that one single call off that ridge just there where that single beech tree is, but it was lower down, so I cut up, and yeah, you know all the rest. So next time you see me, I'll be at top. I was roaring from the top of that point the other day, and there was a stag roaring down in here, and I got him roaring again today, but I was a bit further up on this corner here somewhere this morning with Andre, and the stag was roaring right on that little clay pan wrapped around towards that saddle actually. And so for any of you that recognise this country, there's a lot of crap. But I guess there's beautiful pockets, like little pockets like this. That beach, I've heard a stag hee-hawing in there actually. But there's a lot of crap underneath it. Be pretty good to get access to it from the top. So there's the camp. See, in the background. Oi, oi, oi. Yeah, have a nice big drink of water. Well, here we are. Back at camp. Well, now we see camp, and soon I'd say we won't. because that easterly doesn't have a lot of push to it, so it's probably just going to clag.
Over these two again.
Yeah, it's by the 360 is trying to charge down that fucking projectors and taking the charge.
It's getting to that time of the trip now. Time to pack up. This is my walk out to the camp, so had a great trip. I think I certainly felt like we've achieved the objective, which was for me to get a stag with the bow. Anto got one with his rifle. Andre saw the monster that he's been chasing, but unfortunately wasn't able to get a shot at it. Could only really see its antlers. And he's been chasing that for a few years, so he's got unfinished business. And I had 5 encounters at less than 10 meters with the bow, so that was pretty intense. Yeah, just too tight. I think if I was going to hunt this country again, I would not go into the thick stuff as much as I did. I'd try to stay in the more open stuff and try and raw them down into the open stuff if possible. Might not work, maybe I'll have to go into the thick stuff anyway. So yeah, good trip. Great to spend time with Anto and Andre. I used to flat with them in Christchurch 2 decades ago, so we had lots to catch up on, and they haven't changed. They've just got a few more wrinkles and a few more stories, which I think's great. Yeah, I'll miss those boys. But yeah, been a good one. Thanks for following along.